What's up, guys? I'm coming to you from my office today as opposed to my car with an update on the 2019 Golf Mark 7.5 that I purchased on the VW, what I'll call the COVID deal. Managed to pick that car up in March, as you know, very nearly immediately thereafter, got the Stage 1 tune. You can check out the other video for sort of my thoughts and initial impressions on the Stage 1 tune and also the difference between getting a manual or a DSG car in this model. Thoughts have changed a little bit since then. Primarily the reason why I'm making this video here today as opposed to sitting in the driver's seat of the car. So on Father's Day of this year, around the end of June, I had seen that there was functionally a Cars and Coffee, a little bit of a Father's Day rally event coming up that ran out from Golden and did some cool mountain passes along the way. Thought, great, that's a perfect opportunity to take my car out and see what everybody else is driving and running. Let's go check it out. So we drove down about an hour to get to Golden, Colorado from where I'm located at. Golden, some of you may know, is home of Coors Brewing. So lots of things to see and do and drink down there in the Golden area. We meet up with all these folks, and you're going to see here in a moment a few of the videos. Well, there's one video and then several images of the cars that were located there and were participating in that Father's Day rally. Very, very cool cars. The one I want you to pay particular attention to will be the one in the video, which will be the last thing you're going to see before I pop back. Take a look at that gnarly Ford GT that's rolling out in front of me. Beautiful, beautiful car, and the sound was incredible. Take a look at that car. I'll have a story for you about that one in particular when we resume here. So, Father's Day 2020, Ford GT, and to a lesser extent, the Mustang in front of me. We're starting that rally, and that's the last thing you see in that video, and really the last video that was taken that day, because the rest would just be tears and swears. Getting on the ramp, and I'm trailing that Ford GT right in front of me. Obviously, way out of my league, but still having a little bit of fun. So, sort of tailing him right on his ass. I'm in second gear, and I'm going about 50, 55, somewhere around there. And I'm going to make that shift into third out of second gear. So going to make that shift into third out of second gear. And I don't make it into third. In fact, I managed to jam it into first. What happens when you jam a Stage 1 car with a stock clutch, stock transmission, stock everything into first gear at around 50 miles an hour is the engine tops out and then some. Reports that I got back from VW after we had the car taken apart and they ran the computer check on it was that I had done a manual overdrive to about 8,100 RPM. That in and of itself did not seem like a big deal to me. It's 100 RPMs over redline. And of course, you got to respect the red line, but it is what it is. This video is about what we call a money shift. A misshift that grenades your engine. Called a money shift because it is an exceedingly expensive repair. All of that's accurate. I'm going to spare everybody the time in the comments. I know I'm a bad driver. I know I should have gotten the DSG. I know this expense would have been spared that way. I know I don't know what I'm doing. Every single comment you can make about how I am stupid and a bad driver, I understand better than you could ever articulate to me, because this problem now has cost me tens of thousands of reminders of that problem. All of that being said, going down that ramp, following that Ford GT, and the video you're about to see now is of the result or consequence of that misshift. Now, I'm going to warn you, for those of you that are car people, this is graphic. It's engine blood everywhere. It's not good. The mechanic sent this video to me And that is the first and only time that I have watched it. I will not even watch it inserting it into this video, because for me, that's how painful this experience is to revisit. At the same time, I think it's a good educational opportunity. Let's take a look at the video. We'll pop back in a moment, and I will tell you what you got to do once you get that video from your mechanic and where you go from there.
Good morning, my name is Luis. I'm the service technician working on your vehicle today. I have your vehicle in for a check engine light concern. So I started by diagnosing the vehicle yesterday. So the check engine light that I had was for a couple misfire faults. I had a misfire fault, and I also had a cam actuator fault. So this is the log from those faults. So the first fault that was present in the engine control module was a high cylinder 4 misfire, engine overspeed condition, camshaft actuator A, cylinder 3, and camshaft actuator A, cylinder 4. These two faults stayed active, and they would switch between camshaft actuator B for both cylinders. So I took a look at this engine overspeed condition because I thought that was what had caused all the other faults. So I looked at the freeze frame data. As you can see, the engine RPM that I was set at was 8,097.5 per minute. The rev meter inside only goes up to 8,000, so it was past 8,000, which means that it wasn't overspeed, or it was a wrong gear selected while driving. So I did quote some time to remove the cam ladder. As you can see, I have it removed right now. But there's a lot of engine damage here. So as you can see, this rocker right here is completely broken, and this came from right here. As you can see, the camshaft is completely destroyed. There's more damage over there. As you can see, there's some pieces of metal, and then it actually took out the cam actuators as well. So as you can see, these two made contact, so they're damaged. This one is completely broken. But yeah, so this is why we were getting those camshaft actuators faults. While I was here, since I found excessive damage, I went ahead and removed the oil pan just to see what it looked like. So I removed the oil pan, and as you can see, it's completely full of metal. So that right there is a big chunk of metal. As you can see, all those gold flakes that are present, as you can see right there, right over here, that's just all full of metal. So at this point, what I'd like to go ahead and recommend is a complete long block replacement, which will be the engine assembly. I'd like to recommend the turbocharger assembly, and a new turbo oil supply line. That way we make sure that there's no metal being transferred over to a new motor. But yeah, this motor is done due to that excessive metal found in the oil pan. There's really not much you can do to save it, but replace it. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any following questions or concerns, please contact your service advisor. Thank you for choosing EMIC, and have a great day.
So the way that I have been describing the state of my oil pan in the video that you have just watched to folks who have been kind enough to ask me repeatedly what happened to my car is to express to them that the oil pan looked like California in 1849. It's a gold rush in that goddamn thing, and you can see that from the video. So you can tell from what the mechanic said, the VW mechanic there, engine is totally shot, gonna have to replace it. That's all there is to it. Of course, because it is a driver error as opposed to a vehicle error, that repair falls squarely onto myself. So we ran it through VW for the warranty at MHVW down in Denver. They told me absolutely not. It's a no-go. You'll recall in the last video, I made a great deal of fuss about the difference between an APR Stage 1 and the APR Plus, mainly because you can pay double the cost for a warranty that will eliminate any problems your engine will have while you're running the tune, and you don't have to worry about being out of pocket for it. You'll also recall from my last video, I mentioned the reason why I got this car with a 6-year, 72,000-mile warranty and the APR Plus with an additional warranty is because I'd spent $8,000 already in the year of 2020 fixing 3 other cars that I had to get rid of, mainly because I could not foot the expense. So we hear from VW, no warranty, hear from APR, and they say the exact same thing. They go, you're an idiot, you don't know how to drive, don't get a manual transmission next time, and in the meantime, sorry. So you'll keep in mind at this point with the VW deal, I still, even as of the day of this video, have not made a single payment on this car. So I now have a $40,000 mini supercar with no engine. So it doesn't run, does nothing, just sits there and costs me money. So I talk with Emich and I go, all right, I got to do something because I have a $40,000 note on this car. What'll you do on a trade-in for this? And they offer me about $20,000 on the trade-in, which I still owe 20 then on a car that does not drive. So that mechanism does not work for me. I say, okay, what does it cost for me to get a Reman engine in this straight from the pipe out of VW at Wolfsburg so I can get this figured out? And they send me an invoice or an estimate for about $16,000. At that point, right, we're talking about a difference of $4,000 to scrap this fucking thing or keep it and go for it. So I call around because I know that dealers always charge a super premium for what their work is, and independent shops, by and large, do not. Call around to a few independent shops in Colorado, and I ended up working with Paddock Imports down in Denver. And for those of you who are in the Colorado area and looking for somebody to work with, Paddock Imports does not appear to me to be kind of a VW tuning shop per se. At the same time, they have been phenomenal, working with me through everything on this process. So Paddock Imports ends up getting the car. They actually buy the Reman engine from Emich VW, and then Emich VW sends it over to Paddock, where it is currently sitting in a crate, waiting for a few other parts to install. So at this point, I have an estimate for about, call it 2/3 of what Emich VW was willing to put this engine in for me. And at that point, it is what it is. I can either pay $10,000 to get this car back in good condition, or I can pay $20,000 to not have a car just to pay off the note, and neither of those are good options. So I have the car. It's probably a lifer at this point. I can't imagine ever getting rid of it now that I've spent the kind of money I have on it. So I go ahead with the new engine. Now, as part of that process, I go, well, listen, the goddamn thing's in the shop anyway, and it's costing me a fortune anyway. Why don't we do it big and let's see what we can get out of this car? And I talked to the mechanic about that, and he's more or less on board with the idea. So we start on the downpipe process, and as we wade into that, we are finding out that due to the delay in getting the Reman engine directly from the factory in Wolfsburg, which is the only place they make these 2.0s for the Golf Rs, that's about a 3 or 4 month process. So by the time the engine arrives, we start exploring downpipes, and we come to find out that effective Labor Day, which was just a few weeks ago as of the making of this video, APR, who had done my stage 1 tune, is A, no longer making downpipes, and B, as a result of no longer making downpipes, not doing the stage 2 tune that comes as a free code with that downpipe when you get it. So we go through all this process. I get 3 of the wrong downpipes, and ultimately there's a performance shop in Denver that comes up with the correct downpipe that has the stage 2 code that we can use even after Labor Day, so long as it was on a unit that was ordered prior to September 7th. Though, as we're working through that process, we start to think more about it. We go, listen, you can do a downpipe, you can do the stage 2, and then you're left with a totally stock car from there. These cars almost universally have problems, especially if you're increasing the power on their stock clutches if you're running a manual transmission. Your DSG got a lot less worries about that. They have tunes, etc. I don't own a DSG. Good for you guys. Go watch another video if that's what you're looking for. For the people with the manual transmission, if you are doing tunes, you're going to rip that clutch right out of there, and it's going to slip like crazy. If you are in a position like me where you've had to yank the engine out of the car already, you kind of look at that and you go, well, I can save about $1,000 on labor if I just put the new clutch in now, since they've already literally ripped the entire engine out of the engine bay. The transmission's real easy to get to. Get the stage 3 stock, or excuse me, it's the stage 3 South Bend Daily clutch is the one that we're going to put in there. We'll do a separate review on that, but again, I don't have the car right now, so I can't tell you anything about it other than it was extremely expensive, very hard to find, and it took forever to get it to the mechanic. There you go. When it starts, when it's in the car, I'll let you know what it goes like from there. We get that clutch, and from the clutch, then we decide, well, there's chatter with the clutch, and so you probably need a fluid damper to eliminate the clutch chatter. So now we're into a $900 downpipe, a $1,600 clutch, an $800 fluid damper. From there, the fluid damper probably requires a new rear main seal, so that's another $200 that you're looking at there. And then we decided that there's no point in setting up a downpipe for increased export from the turbo if you do not increase the import for the turbo. So on top of that, we also ordered an APR intake and the carbon fiber tubes that'll connect it directly to the engine to pump good air into there. We're also doing at the same time a turbo delete on this car. And since we were this far into it at this point, I figured what the hell, we might as well get some winter tires to throw on top of it. Presently, the car is still sitting in Denver. We are waiting on that downpipe to get finally delivered from Blue Water Performance in Denver, which is, by all accounts, a VW performance shop. Another excellent place to look at if you're having any car trouble or you want to do some tuning in the Denver area. Definitely check Blue Water out. Definitely check Paddock Imports out. All of them have been phenomenal throughout the process. What we're looking at now then is getting, ultimately, a car back that is going to have the intake, all the piping, all the turbo stuff done, the downpipe. We are not going presently to stage 2 yet. Got to do some break-in miles on the new engine before we go from there. And then we also have the clutch in there, etc. So ideally, the next and final step for this car for me moving forward is going to be to ride it back down to Denver, probably stop at Blue Water or Emich, get them to throw on that stage 2 tune, and it'll be ready to go. Reviews that I will have coming for you as a result of this, though, are going to be about the sound the downpipe makes, about the chatter on the stage 3 clutch and whether or not that's worth getting the fluid damper. We're also going to do a little bit of outdoor reviews about what the rims look like, because I've gone with some Motegi Pro Racing rims that I actually think are going to look real cool for the winter in 17s. And we will also do the stage 2 review in case I had not said that first. But if you're feeling like you would like more videos of the car, believe me, so am I. It looks like mid-October is when that's going to be coming back my way. Just wanted to throw this out there for the time being so you guys know that problems can become really expensive, especially if you're not paying attention when you're hooning these cars, which people are prone to do. That all being the case, grand total as of right now for the parts, the labor, etc., and I'm basing probably about half of this number, frankly, off an estimate from the mechanic. They have not put the engine in yet, so who knows what that entails. And as you can tell from the video that the mechanic at VW had sent over to me, I am mortified about the idea that I may also have to do the turbo on this car. We'll see what that all plays out like when they actually turn it on for the first time in 3 months. But grand total you're looking at is just a hair under $19,000. At this point. So when it's all said and done, I'm going to have a stage 2 Golf R that I will have paid the better part of $63,000 to $65,000 for. Like I said, we'll see. I'm also going to dyno it when I get it back. I'm probably going to dyno it on the stage 1 with the downpipe and then dyno it after once the stage 2 is flashed, just so we can get a comparator. It is what it is. It's 2020. The world is upside down and my wallet is inside out. It's the one thing that I will say is by the time this car is done, as far as I'm concerned, I will probably have one of the last ever made, especially with the new engine going in, Mark 7.5 Golf R Stage 2 with an APR downpipe. Those kits are likely not to exist moving forward. And I guess just to wrap up the video, if anybody's interested in buying this car for $68,000, you give me a call because I'll sell it to you tomorrow. Otherwise, keep an eye on the videos, keep watching them. I don't know what it's like to get videos monetized on YouTube, but if enough of you watch them, hopefully I'll figure it out and we can eat some of these costs together. But in the meantime, my suffering should be for your enjoyment. Hopefully this has been educational, and I pray to God none of you guys are going to do this to yourselves in the future. Good luck. Happy driving. As soon as the car comes back, I'll be more than happy to get some new stuff uploaded for you guys. In the meantime, hang in there. Stay safe. Stay healthy.